All right, you are locked into MMA Canada and very much appreciative to have time with this individual. We've chopped it up a couple times over the years and going to be talking ahead of BFL 81, which transpires on September the 6th. He's going to be getting in there with Drew Brokenshire and Great Heaven Josh Kwiatkowski on the MMA Canada platform today. How are you doing, man? You having a solid day so far?
Really, really good day. I started my morning off super early holding pads for a 6'7", 300-pound man. So that's a good wake up. And then I'm just going to get ready here and I'm going to hit pads myself with one of my coaches, Achilles, a little bit later. And then I have a busy night coaching. And then after that, I'm going to hit the pool and continue getting ready for the cut coming up.
Yeah, and you say Achilles. I mean, is that Achilles Estimadora or?
Yeah, I don't even know how to say his name. I love Achilles. I always say Eskimera, but I'm not quite sure how to say his name. But yeah, Achilles is the man. He's such a talented fighter, but he's a talented coach as well. Like I'm really blown away with the things, little subtle details that we go over all the time, and I feel like I'm every session I get better, and I know he works with a lot of the guys on the team, and you're gonna see on next Friday a lot of the hands of people that you're like Naveed can box, I can box, Jamie can box, and Achilles helps us all. So we're super grateful.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny. It sort of reminded me of a post I saw a bit ago where you were talking about how you were in the lab with Achilles, and then you said Maverick Media, and then Mavic Media was like, it's Mavic Media, wow. And you were like, oh, come on, man. Like,
I'm always getting roasted online, but I'm always roasting the boys too. I just have a little my dog attacking me, so I got to give him a bone if he wants me to play, even though I walked him. But no, it's so funny. I'm always roasting the boys as much as I can. Go get it. Sorry, JP, the
all
crazy
good.
dog. Um, but yeah, no, it's funny. Like I love our team so much because we're constantly busting each other's balls. No one is safe. We're always just having a good environment, laughing, having a good time, and it just makes it fun. It feels like uh, we're family. You know, we go to the sauna together, roll deep with the whole team, and it's just a bunch of us laughing and having a great time. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many, I guess, facets to it. Like, for instance, I saw you were working with Radley Da Silva, who's defending his BFL belt on this same card. But then I also see you always getting in work with guys who are fighting for other promotions, like Isaiah Metituk. I've seen you guys getting in that work over the years, and he's fighting for BTC in my neck of the woods and Oshawa, Ontario. So always has that kind of spread throughout Canada, it seems like.
It's cool. Well, Isaiah's my roommate, so I fight that guy on the daily. I'd be fighting him in the living room and down the hallway. So we don't train too much together. We have a beautiful home facility here at my house, so we do get a lot of extra work, but mostly drilling pads, stretching, things like that. But it's nice living with pro fighters. You know, I live with a pro boxer as well, and like it's just a fight house. We're always fights are on the TV. We're always talking about our trainings, always talking about just what we've been doing in the week, what's working, what's not working. And Isaiah, for young kids, learning a lot lately, and he's been coming to Pinnacle, getting a lot of good looks. So I'm excited for his fight the week after mine. But I get to kick it off first on the 6th, and then Metituk will take care of business on the 14th.
Yeah, that's great to hear about the house dynamics there. That must really lend a lot to everyone growing at a rapid rate as you're talking about. And it seems like this is a really stacked card, man. Like I saw you were touting it as possibly the deepest BFL has ever done, which I mean, that's a big claim in a sense, considering how long they've been around. But I mean, it holds up when you look at three title fights and just like the amount of people stacking the card from top to bottom. So that must be exciting too. Like obviously your paramount focus is on your individual fight, but it seems like it's taking place within the context of a massive event.
The biggest thing when like I've been a fan of MMA for so long as I can remember. I've had family friends that were on BFL one, so I've been a fan of BFL since BFL one, and it's not a claim I throw out there all the time. Every fight, best fight card. No, but I look at this fight card and I truly believe this is going to be the last time you see many people on that card in the regional scene. I think the winner of Rodrigo Navid will be picked up Contender Series or a major promotion. Same with Radley and Randall. Same thing with Mac and the 8-2 Carlton. Dayan and Ash are just two OGs banging it out for the third time, but they're just both awesome, both extremely experienced veterans of the sport. We have Dario versus Stockholm, or I forget what his name is, that really 10-4 American who's just so tough. Like, that's a crazy fight. And then me and Drew. Drew has 18 wins. Like, he's so experienced, and he's fought the who's who. And that's just a few of the fights. And we got Jamie Siraj. Like, the card is so stacked. It's like 9 fights on the main card. Like, it's a really cool card to be a part of. And I do think, depending on the victories, I know Pinnacle is going to clean house, but when we win, I think it's the last time you see a lot of those boys in the regional scene.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's been on UFC Fight Pass for a little bit now kind of indicates how much even you would have to imagine the UFC looks at it as like a league to really keep their eye on. Like, you also kind of see it with unified MMA as well, just being that it's also under that Fight Pass umbrella, and like some of the people that have, gotten to like jump to that next level or get these certain opportunities from that. And I guess that kind of ties into a thing I'd heard in a recent interview that you were doing, where apparently you had a short notice opportunity to fight Michael Imperato on that unified card in Toronto, but it didn't end up panning out there. I mean, that's another example of someone who I guess was showcased on that Looking For A Fight platform when Dana White was there, and then got a Contender Series opportunity thereafter.
Yeah, it was a contract issue. Again, I just think all fighters should be able to fight everywhere at all times, especially in the regional level. It's about opportunities, and I definitely hate saying no to opportunities, especially when it's out of my control. That fight would have been fantastic, and I would have to imagine I would have done better than Ricky Bejedes. And Ricky's an OG. Like, Ricky's so amazing, but he had a very off night and didn't really show up. But it's hard on short notice. And Michael Imperato is a world-class grappler, like world-class. So obviously that's the risk when you fight Mike. But I was excited. I wanted to do it. And just fighting in front of Dana would have been cool, because some of these fighters, they're going to be the 7-0, 8-0, 9-0. They get picked up. There's going to be those other type of fighters, win, lose, or draw. They show up. They put on amazing fights. They entertain the fans, and they're always beloved. There's multiple lanes for fighting, and I know my lane is going to be always remembered as someone who put on amazing fights. And I always pack the house. Like, this will be the most tickets I've ever sold for a fight. This will be obviously the most money I've ever sold in a fight. I'll sell like $12,000 worth of tickets for this event. And it's like, I think I've cleared over 150 tickets. So people love to watch me fight, and they know what I bring to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, all those factors kind of in concert with the UFC seeming like they're reprioritizing getting back to Canada. I mean, they had that, UFC 297 event in Toronto just the day after that unified card I referenced, but also coming back to Edmonton relatively soon and the final quarter of the year. So yeah, it really seems like they're encroaching back into Canada with a certain amount of
Yeah.
regularity.
Yeah, which I like, because the more Canadian cards we have, the more opportunity for more Canadian fighters. And I do feel it's like a process with these Canadian fighters fighting in the UFC, that there's not a lot of shows. So it just makes more sense to stack the roster with Americans, which I get as a business standpoint. But if you keep coming to Canada, like, we have so many good, talented young fighters here. I honestly think, like, I know we're not a big country. We're a big country, but we don't have a lot of people. But, like, we create some bangers, and we have some bangers that deserve to be at the highest level of fighting. And I think hopefully you get to see that pretty soon.
Yeah, and I guess in referencing that Edmonton card they're doing, I guess just because I've had a few Canadian fighters on recently and I've kind of ask them about this because that's actually going to technically be the first card the UFC has done with, I guess, the new amendments to the unified rules where you can utilize 12 to 6 elbows and whatnot. And I guess this kind of ties into someone you were supposed to fight at one point, Jesse Arnett, which, kind of fell out in April there. But I was talking to him and he was kind of saying, like, I don't really know how many opportunities there will be for those certain 12 to 6 elbows, just because if you're fighting a guy who has a certain level of, I guess, competency off his back, it's like he's not really going to be in as prone of a position to get like teed off on with some of those 12 to 6 elbows. Like, I guess, what are your thoughts on all of that? Like, do you think that, I guess, having that in the rule set is going to like lead to these certain positions where it can be utilized to great effect? Do you almost like share some of these other perceptions? 'Cause I feel like Aaron Jeffrey also had like a similar sentiment on that when I spoke to him as well.
To be honest, I've already been thinking about it, obviously, but I want knees to the head on the ground. I don't. I think that's just the stupidest rule. We need to have knees on the head, not like on direct, like on the top of your head. Like, cool, let's stay away from the spine. Cool, side of the head, let's go. Like, you should be ready to get kneed in the head at all times as you're getting up. It would change the fear of getting up. It would change the dynamic of getting up. The 12 to 6. I've knocked out one of my opponents, but it was of an arcing elbow against the wall. Blake Travolsky, I got a first round knockout. And I was for a moment thinking about, is this the right angle? And I don't want to be thinking about that kind of stuff in a fight. I obviously know the rules. I don't want to fight dirty, no eye poking, none of that crap, no kicking in the balls, all that stuff. But I don't want to be thinking. I want it to be natural, and this angle and this angle doesn't make much of a difference to me. But I do believe if any rule was changed, it would be bringing knees, like in Rise and FC and in Japan, they still have it. One FC, I believe they have it, and they have the soccer kicks to the face. Oh yeah, that stuff should be added. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's another thing. I mean, I would hope to see more of a Canadian presence in Ryzen. Like I guess I say that in saying that I saw Tony Laramie got signed to Ryzen somewhat recently. So yeah, that'd be
let's
cool.
go.
I think Jesse, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, let's go Canada. Let's go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess another divergent kind of question from, I guess, like the core fight here, but I just know we've talked in the past about your interest level in, I guess, doing bare knuckle at a certain point. Like, obviously, you're very focused on MMA, but it's kind of an interesting time because, I mean, BKFC is readying to do their, second show in the country, like tomorrow as of this recording when we're talking. And it seems like there's other leagues that have kind of adopted bare knuckle on even more of like a Canadian level, like Havoc FC and Rumble in the Cage, which you've held MMA gold within. So like I guess what are your thoughts on like bare knuckle kind of gaining like more and more of a foothold in Canada lately?
So this is the only thing I'll say on that because look at these knuckles, man. Oh my god. Anywho, but I would love to, but this is the caveat is when we're talking about bare knuckle, I would love to do bare knuckle for money. I want to do it for real money. I do not want to do bare knuckle and mess up my face. Like I've got no stitches ever in an MMA fight. When I fight Drew Brokenshire September 6th, it'll be my 17th professional fight. I have no stitches in my face. So if you're gonna stitch up my face, which is gonna happen in bare knuckle, you have to pay me. I like that they're doing this in the regional scenes, but you're paying the fighters the same amount of money, if not less. I've been offered less for bare knuckle than I get paid for my MMA fights. I'll fight bare knuckle, but I'm not gonna do it for less than MMA in a sport that I haven't got stitched. For what? $1,000, bro? I'll flip burgers, right? Like like which I don't have to do. I'm just gonna keep fighting MMA. So if I get an offer in bare knuckle, that is money, money that makes sense. Fuck yeah, it's prize fighter. I care about myself. I know what I bring to the table, and I'm just gonna keep kicking ass in MMA until I deserve a good paycheck in bare knuckle from a real promotion, from a big promotion. But with all that being said, I love violence. So for these regional cycles that want to do it for not a lot of money, man, you guys are awesome. I fucking love you guys. And for the promotions putting on those bare knuckle fights, I know I wish you guys had more money to pay the fighters, but you're doing what you can do. And we just got to start bare knuckle anyway. So, it's a double-edged sword. I know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, you articulated it well. I feel like that's a pretty balanced take, all things considered, man, for sure. Just a great time for Canadian combat sports. But I mean, you mentioned Brokenshire here, and I mean, he's got a strong resume for sure. Like, I feel like this is a great opponent to have at this juncture in your career. Like you said, you have quite a few fights at this point, and just some of the opponents that he's fought, like Julian Erosa, and he's also been in there with guys like Daniel Swain, Chase Hooper, Jeremy Kennedy, and also the fact he's just coming off of his last fight being for the BFL featherweight championship against Mateo Vogel. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, his overall resume and some of the better skills that you think he brings to the table? Because, like I said, so many standout names on the resume, it seems like.
He's ranked, I think, number 3 in the Pacific Northwest. He has beat UFC vets, as in Andrew Ewell. He's fought the who's who. He doesn't fight. He doesn't. I've never seen him in BFL fight someone who is not a stud, and I think that just shows me that BFL believes that I can fight someone like that, and I believe I can fight and beat someone like that. You know I fought Tim Tamaki earlier in my career, and he was way more experienced than me. He was coming off 4 victories in a row, 3 knockouts, and he retired Chris Day, which Chris Day at that time was a beast. And I've been in that. I did that off of a losing streak when I was coming off the lowest point in my career. Uh, but now I just feel, again, cliche as it is, I feel the best I've ever been. I feel like you can see it in the gym. You can see it in my sessions. I'm even wearing less bruises all the time now too, so I'm getting hit less too, which is a little unique for the Juggernaut. So it's kind of cool right now. Like, I am ready for the best, baddest, meanest test I've ever had in my career, and Drew is that guy. He has 18 wins. I think he's gonna have some of the most wins out of anyone on the card. So it's like, and I'm fighting that guy. Like, I don't want an easy fight. I don't want to fight people think that I'm just gonna walk over or beat up. I like waking up and thinking about how hard I have to train and how smart I have to train and what I got to do to make the right decisions so that I can go in there on the 6th and just show people that there is a new Juggernaut and there's a new version of myself, and I'm so proud to show it. But all that talk would be cheap. I have to show it on September 6th. And on September 6th, oof, you're going to see the best version of me, I promise.
Well, I mean, you referenced that, Tamaki fight. I mean, I feel like that was such a big moment for you, as you said, like facing such a veteran and then collecting some hardware with the longest running regional show in Canada. But based on what you're saying as well, like it seems like you're in that perfect pocket in a sense, like in as far as like you still have that very exciting, engaging fight style, but you're doing it in a way that's more defensively refined and kind of responsible and more, I guess, informed by the ever growing fight IQ that we've also kind of touched on a few times in this conversation. So it seems like a good, I guess, confluence of those two things, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm of like, I I honestly think in the last 6 months I've improved more than I have in the last 2 years. And it seemed I was stagnant for so long, and I've just had so many breakthroughs in my grappling, my wrestling, and my striking. My strength and conditioning is I've fixed things that were weaknesses before, and now I'm just like so blessed. I just want this to keep going. This is like the projection I want to go. And in the room, my coaches, my teammates, I know they know. Like, we just noticed that a bunch of teammates lately have all had breakthroughs, and I'm just so blessed. Like, so blessed. So blessed. Can't wait to show it. Oh, can't wait.
Yeah, it comes across, man, for sure. And I guess like just in being mindful of your time here, because I'm kind of just realizing it's encroaching into the training time you have outlined here. But I guess one of the things that I'd kind of noticed in my research, and I also kind of referenced in talking about Brokenshire's resume, like how he did, get in there with Jeremy Kennedy and fought him on a BFL card in
Yeah.
2016. I mean, obviously, like a lot of changes have, come Brokenshire's way since then. It's been a few years ago, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about, Jeremy Kennedy coming through the gym a little bit ago. Like maybe this wasn't even exactly during the time that this fight would have been locked in, but I mean, I guess in kind of putting all that together, like was there anything that you maybe gleaned from him or tried to like ask him about in terms of like Brokenshire and what he does out there, or is it kind of like what I was saying before almost, where like by virtue of it being so long ago, it's maybe not even information you can transfer to what you're gonna do, if that makes sense?
I just think it's a change of mentality in the sense that I did know about the Brokenshire fight when I Brokenshire, however you say his name, when I saw Jeremy and he did the seminar at Animo, the gym I coach at here, and we didn't. It came up that we're gonna fight, but I didn't. I don't have any questions. I don't have any cares. I always expect that he's gonna be a better version of himself. I want to fight the best version of himself, and for me, I just not that I don't I just don't care as much as my about my opponents now, and more about what I'm gonna do, and training my reactions and training what I want to uh, um, do in the fight. And I think I've had fights before where I'm like, don't go to the ground, and then I go to the ground with them, like that wasn't so scary. What the hell? And then I'm like, oh, don't strike with that person. Then I strike with them. I was like, I was beating him on the feet. So I don't care. I have to worry about what I'm going to do in the fight. And that's what I want my opponent to worry about, is what I'm going to do. I don't care what he's going to do. I know he's an MMA fighter. He's well rounded everywhere. He says he has a good clinch. He has good striking. He has good grappling. Cool. Then we're going to figure it out on the sixth. Who's better? And then if we're both just, neck and neck, then who's tougher and who's grittier and who wants it more? And I assure you right now, I really, really, really want it. So I'm just so excited to show people how bad I want it on September 6th.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement comes across in a big way, man, and it's been great to have you on to, talk about everything leading into this fight because, like we've been talking about, it's definitely a big one. But I also want to be cognizant of what you're getting up to with the training leading into this one. So, yeah, no, again, thanks so much for coming on the platform, man. But I also figured I'd give you the floor to see if you had a final thought you wanted to add as we're kind of wrapping up here, Josh.
First and foremost to yourself, thank you so much just for having a platform for fighters. MMA media is still new. It's still a new sport. And anytime that you give an opportunity and a voice to a fighter, just to even just talk about his training, his fights, it really means a lot to the fighters. I don't bug nobody for interviews. But when I get someone that wants to, you've always been good to me. So I really appreciate it. And just for me and my training, Pinnacle MMA, you guys, we're gonna clean house. My MMA team is the best. All my training partners from all the gyms all over I train at, WKX, On Guard, Pit Meadows Combat. I love you all. All my coaching staff, Bryce Goujon, my strength and conditioning coach with New Edge, AB, dietitian TJ, you're the man. Animo, Evolve, the two gyms I coach at. I love you guys all. Thank you for the support from all my students. JP, my dog, he's a psycho. He's tried to get in the interview twice. Just all my friends and family, I love you all. And September 6th, I just want to have a little shout out. This fight will be dedicated to my uncle and my homie Alfie Leslie, who both passed away last few weeks. So this fight will be for them.
That's
So
awesome, man. I mean, the way you bring it, I'm sure it'll be a great way to honor their legacies and everything like that. So, yeah, no, sorry about the losses for sure, but I mean, you're really gonna, show out there and do them proud, I think, man.
amen, brother. Amen to that. Thank you so much.
But yeah, to reiterate, thanks for coming on the MMA Canada platform. I'll certainly be checking out BFL 81 on UFC Fight Pass. I'll get that fired up. But until then, man, you have a good rest of your day. And yeah, thanks so much for the insights.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for your time.